All right, welcome to the You're a Tourist podcast, where we get very serious and share a laugh or two about all of the good, the bad, and the ugly parts of tourism that you may or may not have ever even thought about. I'm your host, Katie Dudley, and today we're going to be diving into the topic of traveling around following your favorite bands. Woo! Joining me for this topic today is everyone's high school art teacher. He is teaching in Denver. He spent 4 years on the road. He only went inside to 80 Phish shows, but he made it to the parking lot of 150 of them. Welcome to the show, Brent.
Hello. How are you?
All right. Good. Thanks for joining us today. Brent, I'm rocking my Southern Illinois University Carbondale shirt, Go Salukis. Brent and I met so long ago in Carbondale when we were both, I think, a little bit different people. We're both teachers. We're both shaping the youth of America now, which
Neither
is terrifying.
of us ever saw that coming. That's for sure.
or I think anyone who knew us, yeah.
No, they would call some sort of authority and put a stop to that immediately.
I think so. Okay, Brent. Well, we are going to dive into all of this because, like we were talking about before we got started, this is a topic that I've kind of always been on the periphery of.
Mm-hmm.
I working in places like Yellowstone and as a raft guide and stuff like that. Clearly, people were in and out of those worlds, but I never entered it. So we're going to dive deep into that as we get going. But before we get started, I like to play a game with all of my guests called Tourists in the News. It just kind of gets us all in the mindset and reminds us who we're talking about here, who we're working with, and some of the things that tourists are capable of doing. Okay? So
All right.
the rules of the game are simple. I'm going to read a headline and leave part of it out, and you are going to try and fill in the missing words to that headline. And you have up to 3 clarifying questions that you can ask to help you figure out that headline. Sound good?
All right. Sounds good.
All right, here we go. Okay. Headline number 1. Airbnb cleaners find more than 200 pounds of what while cleaning property?
Oh, dear.
I'm leaving it wide open.
I really hope it's not poop.
Did you say poop?
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's not. It's not
okay,
poop.
That's good. Like, I don't know, maybe somebody brings their poop from home. I don't think you can make that much.
Or it could be well, maybe a foodie destination.
Maybe. I don't know.
Southern cooking.
Okay, 200 pounds of. Is it something they brought with them?
Yes. I'll just say that I'm assuming they brought the supplies with them.
Okay.
I don't know if it was in its end state.
Oh, shit. Did they make meth?
They sure did.
Damn. Good time.
Yeah. 200 pounds of meth.
I don't know much about meth, but that seems like it's substantial.
It does. Well, see, I'm watching Breaking Bad for the first time because I'm always like 7 to 10 years behind everyone.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's a big deal right now. That is their quota. They got to make 200 pounds every week. And I was like, I don't know, real life here. Maybe these people just watched Breaking Bad too. Here, I'll give you a few details. So, it's right here. It's in California, close to me. It's in Alhambra. So on June 3rd, a cleaning crew was sprucing up the home when they found more than 24 boxes filled with 235 pounds of meth stuffed in bags. Here we go. The Ring camera, just changing society, isn't it? The suspects were caught on a Ring camera using a U-Haul van to transport the illicit goods. Ring cameras. They're just not, they don't let anybody do anything fun anymore. Right?
No.
Drug dealers can't even.
Can't break into homes anymore. It's terrible.
Yeah. You can't steal stuff off the porches anymore. Like, what is the world coming to? So of course a neighbor says it's an Airbnb. You don't know who's going to come. Yeah, that's true, neighbor. That's why Airbnbs kind of suck. But I love at the very bottom of this article, it says it's a good reminder to always double check your hotel room or Airbnb for all your belongings before you leave.
Jesus, who would forget that much, man?
See,
I feel like a lot of work got put into making it.
And 200 pounds. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't, it's not like you can bring that with you for every excursion that you take throughout the day. You're going to come and go and leave it.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, that's like human size.
So. Yeah. So there you go. Fun tips. So see, this is a learning podcast as well, folks. If you're gonna, so I don't know if they made the meth there or not. It didn't say, but if you're gonna bring the meth or have the meth, yeah, exactly. Somebody was gonna have a good time. Just double check and make sure you don't leave it before you leave. Okay.
Lessons we can all take with us.
I'm saying. I'm
Keep
just
your
here. Right. I'm here to help. I'm here to inform the public. Okay, here we go. Headline number 2. This one I didn't quite know how to make it into the game, so it might be really hard, but
okay.
But I think it's worth it. Okay. Headline number 2. Drunk tourist steals a what before flipping it in a quarry in Majorca? Every word. I love every word as it comes.
Into a quarry. Where's Majorca at?
Spain.
Okay. So maybe is it? I can ask questions. Is it a vehicle?
It's a vehicle. Yes.
It is a vehicle. Okay. I feel like a car is too easy. Is it a boat? Is it one of those like swan boats?
Oh my gosh, that would be such a better story. No. I would love to see a swan boat flipping into a quarry. I guess maybe not. I guess that makes it sound like I would love to see someone hurt. But you got to admit the sight would be stunning.
I mean, swans are majestic in the air.
Right. Exactly. Who doesn't want to see that?
Exactly.
Okay. No, the answer is a 25-ton bulldozer.
Oh my God.
25-ton bulldozer.
Okay.
A drunk tourist steals a 25-ton bulldozer before flipping it into a quarry. Like, come on. Let's see. I like this. The article even says it. Like, I'm reading this word for word from the article. It says, the idiotic 26-year-old cheated death after overturning the 25-ton vehicle on the edge of a steep drop at the quarry he broke into near his hotel in the party resort of, I don't know how to say it, close to the island capital of Palma. So, it's like kind of on the resort for being that close to a quarry. Like,
so did they just leave the keys in there, I wonder?
Oh, that I don't know.
I worked in construction for a bit, and just nobody ever took the keys out of the machines.
Really?
And it was just really easy to hop on a forklift or like a scissor lift or something. Like, we wouldn't lock things up at night so much. Like the building would get locked, but like all the materials, they'd all be there. All the machinery, it all had the keys in them. So I feel like if you're just like ballsy enough to go for it, there's a good chance that keys might be in that bulldozer.
Because I feel like that's it too. Like, think of this person. We were all 26 and drunk.
That's what
you have made exactly. You have made the spectacle of going and getting up inside that bulldozer of like, I'm going to get the bulldozer. And then you get there and you're
You
like,
got
the
to
keys
follow
are
through.
there. You do. At that point,
Mm-hmm.
you can't just get back down. Like
No,
you've
the shame that would
you've
be involved with walking away from that situation, unbearable.
yeah, you're in it. Yeah, you got to turn that key and you got to act like you can drive a bulldozer, and this person
Mm-hmm.
could not. No.
I wonder how they flipped
It
it.
is like back upright
No,
or
no,
just
but I mean
like,
they flipped it. Did they like
oh,
use
yeah.
like the because it's got the what is that thing? The shovel,
Oh, yeah, on the front
the
of it.
scoop. Yeah. So like, did they
Yeah.
like push it and like it went up? I don't
Ooh.
know.
Well, all it really says is it says police sources said he is lucky to be alive because it overturned right by a 30-foot drop. Okay, so it didn't make it down the 30-foot drop.
It was
So
just in
yeah.
the vicinity of it. Okay.
Do you think you could do donuts in a bulldozer? Is that like what he did? Of like,
I think
like
he tried.
crank the brake and then he flipped over? Oh.
Well, he was trying to do drifting. And,
We're giving all kinds of tips here, folks, of how to do this. So it comes on the back of recent reports that Germans who flocked to parts of Playa del Palma on its eastern end are now the most troublesome tourists in Majorca. Yeah. So there you go. Germans.
All right.
They got us. They got us in one area. People. Yeah. Fucking Germans. Okay. Here we go. We've got one more. So this one, the third headline, always takes us right into the topic of the day. So it's not only does it bring us to the topic of the day, it also creates a question that I have for you about this. Okay, so the headline number 3, EDM festival leads to deputy having chunk taken out of his head and dozens of arrests. So the question here is, how was the chunk taken out of the deputy's head?
How big of a chunk was it?
I don't know. It was enough that it says that I thought I had put that in here. Oh yeah, it says that the sheriff's office made an image of the officer's injuries available to the public, but it was not included in this article due to its graphic nature. And just that line alone, I chose not to seek it out. But so a substantial chunk, I would say. Yeah.
Was it like from like pyrotechnics?
Nope.
No? All right. Was it caused by another? Well, I guess it was. It was caused by another human, I'm assuming.
It was caused by another human. Yeah.
I'm stumped. What we got?
It was bitten.
Bitten. Oh my goodness.
Bitten. Yes. Yes.
What part of him got bit?
Well, it just says EDM festival leads to deputy having chunk bitten out of head and dozens of arrests.
Out of
head?
What if like his ear or like just like a chunk out of his skull?
That's what my brain kind of goes to, like the lower back here. You know, it's kind of soft back here still. I don't know. I mean, now if it's skull, like
maybe cheek, I don't know.
Yeah.
Why would they share those photos? So to like look for like dental records or something?
Oh, yeah.
Do these teeth mark match yours?
Do these look like any of your friends' teeth? Yeah. So here's the thing. So maybe, a question that may have helped, it could have been like, where did it happen? Because this EDM festival was in Ponce de Leon, Florida. So that could have gotten us closer to that. Yeah. So this was actually a deputy on foot patrol was attacked by an event volunteer. So this was a volunteer for the event. So it says the volunteer bit a chunk. Oh, no. So it does say the back. The volunteer bit a chunk out of the back of the deputy's head and attempted to grab the deputy's gun.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Where did this take place? Where in Florida?
It says Ponce de Leon, Florida.
I have no clue.
So it was, yeah. My guess is like somewhere more central Florida. It says investigators, here we go. Investigators determined the volunteer was under the influence of PCP, LSD, ketamine, mushrooms, and ecstasy when the attack occurred. So like he's just got a battle going on inside his own body, and like he's just got to let it out. You know, there's a war going on inside that head. So I just wanted I have a quote here. So it says, Autumn, of course her name's Autumn. Autumn, a festival goer, said she felt safe at the event despite police presence in the biting. And she said, there's always going to be positivity and there's going to be negativity. It's just part of how the world works and the universe works. You can't have good without the bad. But for the most part, the festival was nothing but like higher vibrational people loving each other and supporting each other. Yeah, except for when they were biting each other.
I hate hippies.
I didn't know which side you would fall on that one, so I was like, "This is just a test in the waters here."
Insufferable, man. Jesus. It's all love and light and fights.
Hey, man, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I guess that's my first. Well, I've got so many questions. But that's my first question: is how do you feel? I feel like either I missed the boat when I was younger and I hadn't heard of it, or EDM is younger than that, because like my students will bring up like EDM festivals and stuff like that, and half the time I just haven't ever heard of the name, and so I don't fully get them. But like, is there like a hierarchy? Is there like a you know, like
how does
like a family
music
reunion with
work? Is that what you're asking?
No, I mean, like if we're at like the family reunion of like people who follow around festivals and stuff, or do we have like the jam band family? Do we have like Phish and Deadheads and then like EDM folks and like, and do they all get along, or is it like, oh, fuck them, right?
Yeah. It's separate scenes that have some intersection in various places or various bands. For instance, the Dead, they've been around since the 60s, and then when Jerry died, Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead.
For you young folks out there.
And for you people who don't know, what I'm talking about here. People started following Phish around then. Phish broke up in 2000 or 01. And then a few other jam bands popped up, like Widespread Panic and String Cheese Incidents. They got popular. And then in 07, Phish came back, and then they've been touring ever since. String Cheese Incidents, they started a festival called Electric Forest, where a lot of EDM acts also play. That's where you get some intersection between the two. And you get a lot of crossover because it's mainly an EDM event. And then the kids get into string cheese, which is, their gateway drug into the other scenes. But that's where you get a little bit of intersection. At most festivals, you'll have some jam bands mixed in with electronic artists. Because you're trying to, as a festival promoter, get all the people that do all the drugs together into one field in 105-degree heat.
Yeah, and hope that some of the scenes don't resort to biting.
Right. But it should be expected.
It should happen. Yeah. That's what. Yeah. So string cheese, I completely had forgotten about them. And that's really, so I guess like the time when I was, you know, a dirtbag, I guess, and like kind of doing the seasonal worker and like moving around and stuff. Like I was saying, I was kind of on the periphery. So it's like people would come to Yellowstone and work. And just for the listeners, like when I say I worked in Yellowstone, I wasn't a park ranger in Yellowstone. I worked hospitality in Yellowstone, just like any other hospitality job that you would have, and the same type of people like that. But we all just lived in company housing in the woods. And so there would be a lot of people that would come, and they would come long enough in the season to get like 1 or 2 paychecks, and then they'd go again so that they could follow the band. They would just like, as soon as payday came, you knew that like part of the staff was gone, because then they were going to go back out on the road with that. And that's what the main one then was, string cheese. But that would have been in that same time that you talk about that
they were
Phish was broke
huge
up.
around then when when Phish broke up. That's when they were bands had a chance to spread their wings.
Yeah. So that's, I guess, to kind of to key it up here again for the listeners. So when we're talking about following bands around, in this episode, we're not talking about like you went to London to see Taylor Swift. We're diving into like the lifestyle of where you are truly kind of on the road, and you're just going from town to town with a band. And I don't know. And like you say, sometimes you make it into the show, sometimes you make it into the parking lot. With that. So we'll start from the beginning. Well, I don't know if we're going to start from the beginning fully with you, but so in your bio, you say that you were on the road for 4 years, but it kind of seemed like you were seasonal. Dabbling in it. Yeah.
It wasn't like I was, staying in my van all year round. I had a house that I paid rent on. So I'd be on the road for about, like 2 months at a time.
Gotcha.
And then I'd come back, I'd work some crappy job, and then, you'd go off again when summer or fall tour hits, and then, you'd be out on the road for a while again.
Yeah. So what was it that got you into that? What was it that you're just like, was it like just more of like, I like this?
Yeah. Like I'd been like, in the scene since like, I don't know, 01 or something like that. I started listening to The Dead in high school. And then started going to shows. Yeah, it was probably like 02, 03, I thought it was awesome. It's something I always dreamed of being able to do, to go on the road and, live the hippie dream. And then, this was probably back in like 15. I was in a weird headspace. I had gotten fired from a job. I was getting into more trouble than I needed to, and I was, had the right frame of mind to think that this would be a good idea. So like I have my degree in graphic design, and usually when I'd go to shows, I'd make posters. I'd sell them in the parking lot to the fans, and then I'd make enough money to be able to go into the show. I've been doing that for, I don't know. I started like right after we met, so like 06, 07, I think was when I first started doing that. And I got to the point where I could confidently make enough money to like get by comfortably doing it, and so I basically said, "Screw it." I hit up a friend who I knew wasn't working as well. And I was like, you want to go on tour? Like, I'll drive, you help me work, I'll cover everything. And she's like, yeah, sure. And so we hit the road, and we were out there for, like a month and a half. We did okay.
Yeah. Where all did you go? Did you hit like,
so we
what part
of the
country?
Went from Texas to Austin, and then we did the South, we did Florida. And then we went up the East Coast, and then I called it a day. And where was it? Was that Philadelphia?
Philadelphia.
Yeah, it was. It was Philly. That was where we ended. But yeah, it all blurs together after a while. And I was trying to think of what I remember eating cheesesteaks, and the poster that I made for that show was cheesesteak themed.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how. I mean, I don't remember where, but
And so
um,
when you say that you went on the road with the band, so you were with Phish.
I was following Phish around. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I was making posters in my hotel room the night before, and then getting them printed out, and then going and selling them in the parking lot that day. There was no I wasn't with the band. There was no affiliation. It's something
Yeah.
that they frown upon because they don't like the copyright infringements.
Oh,
Yeah.
I could see it.
Um, they don't. Yeah, they don't like you putting their name on stuff, but
Yeah.
it sells better. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
is there a place that, do you remember, is there a place that you liked the best when you went to that? Like what? I feel like there's always oh, were you at Red Rocks? And see, I
Hmm.
told you I'm going to say stupid stuff here of just
No, Red
of
Rocks is
just
fine. Red Rocks doesn't allow vending actually, but I've done a plenty
Oh,
there.
really?
It's just right down the street from me. So, um, let's see. Dick's is always the best. Dick's Sporting Goods Park in here in Denver. They have
Oh,
a
really?
fantastic parking lot scene where it's basically free reign. Texas, there's strangely enough.
Yeah.
Was that one out there? I want to say it's in Dallas or right outside of it. It's Grand Prairie. Um, and
Mm.
there's a theater there. It's indoors, which is great because Texas is always boiling hot in the summer.
Yeah.
Um, but the parking lot was always just sorry, my dog's barking for no reason.
Well, because you said Texas.
Yeah, stop that. I
He's
am
like,
on
don't.
video call. Stop. Um, he's deaf. He doesn't hear me. Anyway, so yeah, Grand Prairie. There was this theater there, and the security and the police would just basically let the parking lot be free reign. You could camp there. So things always
Oh,
got wild there. That was always a good place to hang out and party, with your friends. Because a lot of
yeah.
times you just didn't have that opportunity. You're stuck working and driving, and you know, treated it like a job. But yeah.
Yeah. So that's what. So for one, are there names that, so we know Deadhead. What are
Hmm.
Phish? What are you all called?
They're fans spelled with a PH.
PH and a fan. Well, that's
Hmm.
hard because you can't just in public talk about it and be like, oh,
Yeah,
the fucking fans are here. Oh, I guess
yeah.
maybe that would work if you said it like
It's
that.
incognito.
Oh, you go
The
under the
fans are the worst.
radar.
Yes.
Okay, so there are fans. What are some of the other names? Oh,
Um,
cheeseheads. I remember that.
and then there's Spreadheads, Widespread Panic.
Oh yeah,
Um,
spreadheads. Yeah.
yeah.
So people didn't venture
Um,
that far from Deadheads on that one.
no, the
What
Dead
about
really.
Yonder Mountain String Band? Hot take, never got into them, thought they were overrated.
No,
Ugh.
never really cared for just bluegrass in general.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, never got into
It's
that.
a whole different scene, I would think,
Yeah,
maybe.
I don't
Probably a
know.
lot
It's
of
a little bit more
crossover.
crunchy granola.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah.
but
So what is that? So you
yeah.
bring up crunchy granola. So what is kind of the scene at a Phish show? And is it different in the
Um,
parking lot versus inside?
yeah. I mean, it's such a wide fan base, but most of the fans that you're going to see at a show, um, they've been doing this for a while. Their show count is much higher than mine. Um, and they got into them in college or something like that, or high school.
Mm.
So they've been around since the '90s, following them around, and so now they're at a point where they graduated from college. They have good paying jobs, and this is their
Mm.
vacation. They use their vacation days to do 7-day runs or something like that. And then
Not a
you
bad
have
way.
various degrees of that. You got also your usual hippies that are hanging out in the parking lots or getting dirty and getting high, and your basic stereotypes. And
Mm-hmm.
you get the random old people that wandering off the streets, and you're always like, where did they come from and why are they here? Or they got brought by their kid or something like that.
Oh yeah. Like a young kid just found Phish and it's like, but mom. And mom's like, Like, I'm gonna only if I can come with you.
Yeah. Then they get grounded, or
But
mom gets too spun. Yeah.
do you still go to shows now? I know that you don't you're not
I'm
like do the road
burnt
thing.
out, and yeah, I'm definitely off the road. I'm doing my best to be a responsible adult, but the band itself, I'm kind of over.
Oh, really?
For now, I feel like they're in a creative rut. They're doing a lot of new songs that they call them dad rock, and it's just feels very lame and cheesy. And the lead singer Trey, he got sober and is in a new phase in his life where he's just all like reflective and into peace and love. And
Yeah.
I like that, a little bit of edge and dirtiness, which I don't feel they have right now.
Yeah. That is the bitch of getting sober, isn't it?
You get lame.
You get lame. You get reflective. You think, instead of like laughing at some of the old stories, it's like, you're like, what was I doing? Yeah. And I was like, I wish I could drink through that memory again. Okay, so let's get into some of the stuff here. So what is some of the craziest things? What do you think is the craziest thing you saw in the parking lot? I don't know why these thumbs up pop up on this, and I don't know how to stop it, but apparently
I'm not seeing it on my end. So
mine had a thumbs up bubble. Apparently my computer was like, great question, Kate. You gotta get external validation where you can,
Let's see, crazy stories. So outside of selling posters, I got into like bartending on the lot. And it started by selling beer, and then I moved on to mixed drinks because you make a whole lot more, substantially more. So I switched to that.
So
I remember
being a bartender. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, are these are just like, when you say a bartender, like you mean you brought?
I'm bringing handles into a parking lot, and
Gotcha. Setting up. Yeah. Okay.
And I remember it was one of my very first shows that I was doing this at, and I had definitely overserved a guy. And next thing I know, I see him surrounded by police. He's fully naked and can barely stand up. No. And I was like, oh, I might have done that. My bad. So yeah, I went and was like, here, I got him. I'll take him to his friends and kept him from getting arrested. But I felt a little responsible for that.
Yeah. You're like, sorry, officer. Somebody's out here just over-serving these folks. So you say that you're not the lifestyle anymore. Was there anything that did it just kind of fizzle out, or was there anything that just kind of like a show?
I got married. So like that was a big one,
Yeah, well, congratulations.
Thank you. We got 5 years under our belt now.
There you go.
No, we met in 2018 at a show.
Okay.
Yeah. But we settled down. She's got 200. No, she's got 199. She's holding off on that 200th show. But
wow.
Yeah, she's got more under her belt than I do. But just kind of trying to be an adult and be a functioning human. It doesn't really give you your summers free as much. Except now that I'm a teacher, I do too. But I'm good. But yeah, I mean, it's a commitment. It's not like you can just like uproot yourself from, your daily job and grind to go off onto the road for, a month at a time. Even, getting away for like a week is still like a commitment, and you got to like plan for that, even if you're just going on vacation,
Yeah.
It's a whole lot harder than when we were younger. We're like, yeah, I'll go disappear for a week.
Exactly.
I got nothing going on. I'll miss some class, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just it's harder when you get older.
It takes a toll. Yeah. Because that's what, like, I hear people who's kind of never done stuff like like what you're talking about, and people who, even when I talk about, like the seasonal work and stuff in Yellowstone, where essentially you are just kind of bouncing, and you've always got to make sure you've got that next season lined up. You've got to,
Yeah.
and you're always at the whim of, the cycle of company housing, where it's like they still weirdly charge you a lot for it, so you can never save up and get out of it. And there's all kinds of that stuff that goes into it. So it's like you hear people who've never done that, and they're always like, oh, you know what I'd love to do? You know what would be the best thing is to just get in my car and just drive and just live on the road. And it's like, it's
You
not,
can't
unless
afford
you're
it, man.
right. And it's like, and also it's like, unless you are one of those, rich people that you are still getting an income while you're doing it, and you've bought one of those like BMW big vans that everyone has now. Well, I live in LA, so lots of people have those things, and they're outdoorsy now. And it's like, yeah, if you got something like that, it's great, but it's like, it does take a toll. It is, it's not, every day is not breezy.
Exhausting.
Yeah.
Like when I'd be out in the parking lot, I'd be working, you have to wake up super early so you can get in line. So you're the first one in when the doors open. Cause just your spots in the parking lot is very, it affects how much you make. A better spot's more money make,
And so all of that is just first come, first serve.
Yeah. And like, you've got these old assholes, who are waking up at 5, 6 a.m. or they're driving immediately from the show and then camping out in the streets beforehand so they can be there very first. So you got to get there really freaking early. And then it's just, you're stuck in the hot heats, and then you're there until the show gets out. So, that's like a 14, 15-hour day that you're working on top of maybe going into a concert. So, like, physically, like, God, no, I don't have the energy for that anymore. I'm in my 40s. No. I'm tired. Exactly. I go to bed at 9, man. No, I'm not doing that. I'm mostly sober too. So like, I don't get to have the help that I used to be able to get as well.
Right. That just can power you through. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, it is physically demanding, and then you're on the road driving from, show to show. That's, sometimes you would drive like 14 hours to the next show, and like, why are we doing this? This is stupid. But you're doing it. But,
you're doing it. Yeah, you're in it. And like just the porta potties and just I don't know.
And like we'd usually get hotels. Sometimes we'd sleep in the van, but yeah. I mean, you're still standing out in the sun for 14 hours a day, and it gets hot, you get sweaty.
Yeah. So, well, there has to be, though, clearly good aspects of it to keep somebody doing it for so long. So like can you describe like the community that does this, like for anyone who's just never been a part of something like that, of like, is it kind of like a roving town?
It is. You usually have about 15 to 35,000 people showing up to a show.
Jesus.
And everybody's there to have a good time, Everybody's like, slightly intoxicated at minimum. I shouldn't say everyone. I know a lot of sober people at Phish. But like, everybody's there to have a good time. We're all in the same mindset. When you're venting, it's an expectation to put on that act that you are also, a jovial hippie who, circus sideshow sort of person. So like, it's a wild environment. It's strange. There's always something funny happening, and that's a really good time. I always enjoyed being out in the lodge, just talking with people, and being weird and seeing weirdos around, more than the concerts, in all honesty. I just loved the human interaction of it. So yeah.
Well, and so with that, another question that I have, because again, it's like, so by the time that you were on the road, it was 2015, social media was full swing. But, you've also been part of it long enough to be pre-social media, pre-anything. Has social media changed the vibe at all from like what you kind of describe? Everybody's just kind of doing their own thing, being jovial.
Question.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, when people act like fools, it's getting shared. I'm in like 24 different, various jam band hippie groups. The people that are in there the most tend to also be the biggest assholes as well, who are, there to happily troll people and to make fun of people. And, there's a lot of opportunities to be at your absolute highest and your absolute worst at a concert or a festival or something. And, with social media, you get to be publicly shamed for that, which sucks.
It does. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we talk about, all us old folks talk about this all the time, where it's like, just thank God it wasn't around when I was in my early 20s, mid 20s, really.
Yeah.
Like,
I
all
say
of that
this to
stuff.
my high school students as well. Like, God, I feel bad for you all. You can't make an honest mistake and then, just hope that people forget about it in, a month. But, it lives out there forever and somebody can always go and reference it. Everybody's got their phones out. Yeah.
And that's what I think of too with like social media is it's like everything and I say things like everything and whatever. I'm very overdramatic and hyperbolic with this stuff, but a lot of things seem like it's kind of changed and shifted because people perform. People play the character. So it's like I could almost see of like people have seen what happens at Phish shows. People have seen what happens at these things. And then they go in and they're playing the character of the hippie. And they're overdoing it. And like nobody's really truly being themselves.
I mean, that's been happening since like the 90s as well. Like, you've seen like the Phish on SNL skits with Jared in his dorm room. Like that's the stereotype that's like, been prevalent for, 25 years since then.
That's true, yeah.
And granted, a lot of their fans still look like that. But yeah, there's always a perception of something. And people try and play the part as well. Yeah. I mean, I remember when I was, in my early 20s and I was trying to do the whole dirty hippie thing as well. And, I don't know. Yeah. It's
just what people in their early 20s do.
Yeah. Questionable bathing habits and lots of weed. And
I know.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is hopefully it does stay like that. That's the time in people's lives when they should be trying out different things and trying on different. I mean, because I don't know if you have, I mean, you have high school students, so pretty close to mine. And that's what, and who knows what's to blame for it or anything else, but that's just it is everybody's so scared to kind of be something different.
Yeah. Because you always got the idea in the back of your mind that people are always judging you too. But like this is, like you said, this is the perfect time to be exploring, to be experimenting, to trying things out.
Yeah, if you want to change your whole identity when you're 22, change it. Like, who cares?
I had one student who was like dating like 3 guys, and I'm like, scandalous. And she's like, who cares? I'm in high school. This is my time to to try things out and make mistakes. And I'm like, you're really freaking wise.
Right. It's like, why are you so emotionally mature?
I know. She was a great kid.
See, there's hope. There's hope for
there is.
The future, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so you say that like in those groups and stuff, which again, anybody who comments a lot in groups, clearly on social media are going to clearly have some asshole tendencies. But what are some things that are just kind of like common, like with every type of tourism activity, I guess I'll say, there's just the obvious things where people kind of over and over, you can kind of point out the people who are assholes, point out stuff that people do that just is kind of everybody talks bad about. And I don't know, we call them tour-ons, we call them all kinds of stuff. So at festivals or at like shows like this, what were just like some of the asshole moves that people would do and everybody's like, oh God, these people again?
Let's see, getting too high. That's always a big one.
I could see it.
And not being able to hold your shits or, too drunk. But we've all been there too. Exactly. So, there's a lot of it does come from a place of understanding, but also like, get your shit together, man. Right. This isn't a good look, yeah. But then, I'll be in the same shoes next week. But right. No.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's always a big one. Being broke and mooching off of everybody.
I could see that being a thing. Especially if it is a situation where like the same people are moving and you're just like, by the end of it.
There's plenty of ways to make money out there. It's a beautiful free market economy out in the parking lot. It's a beautiful example of capitalism. But yeah, there's always some hustle that you can do, and if you're just not willing to put in the work, like it's a bad look. This shit is expensive too. Concert tickets aren't cheap, hotels and gas aren't cheap.
I'm trying to think of some of the other kind of situations where it's like this sounds really bad, and it sounds like I'm not standing up for my female counterparts here. But like in rafting, there was always like the women who would come in and not be raft guides, but they would always try and land a guide like for the season so that they would like, they could essentially like
they would get the perks of it.
Yeah, they could hang out and live at the rafting company and like they would, stuff like that. So it's like any type of thing like that going on. That's where I'm like, it sounds very sexist of me. Sorry, ladies, but y'all know what happened.
Like, what do they call them? Like the lot bunnies? No, I mean, that's not the term for it. But that's
like a truck stop term.
yeah, or lot lizards. That's what it was. Yeah.
Bunnies sound a little better, but yeah.
Yeah, there would always be that, and I don't want to say I would take advantage of that, but I'd put girls to work, and have them bartending for me.
There you go.
Or helping me sell posters, and we would find ways to make things mutually beneficial. It wasn't like I was dating them or nothing, but I always needed help, and I was always happy to give somebody work. So yeah, you would see that, there was. I remember one girl that I used to see many, many years ago at shows, and it was always at a different show, and she'd always be holding some other dude's dog. Different dog every time I saw her. And while he was off pushing his wares or what have you, and I always thought that was funny. So yeah, that's definitely a thing. Especially in an environment where, there is a lot of fun to be had, especially chemically after hours. You're always going to get that.
Oh, that just reminded me, the after hours, when I think of like the annoying people of the fucking guys with guitars.
They were always playing some terrible jam band song, because you get that, but you get just paid $60 to go see the actual band play it. Some asshole sitting around a campfire playing Uncle John's band.
It never fails. It's just like we saw, I don't even know what I was watching the other day, but my husband was a raft guide with me. And so that's what in it, there was just a guy playing a acoustic guitar and everyone was forced to listen. And that's where my husband was like, God, they're the fucking worst. And I was like, I know. They hijack a campfire and then we're stuck listening to you whisper sing over there. And it's like, just calm down. Yeah. So I don't know. I assume. I have a big question that when you talk about after hours. So here we go. You have been to however many shows, and other people that you're with have been to even more. Do you ever meet the band? Do they ever come and say hi?
I've seen Mike Gordon. He's the bassist. I've seen him in the parking lot. He likes to hop in a golf cart and drive around and like kind of, diva wave to the fans. He doesn't like stop and interact with them because they're sweaty and gross. But no, I've seen him drive around the parking lot. I've seen him in like restaurants as well, like before the show.
Okay.
That's the only one. That's the only one that I've ever seen in regards to Phish. Grateful Dead, Phil Lesh stayed at my hotel that I used to work at. He was the bassist for the Dead. So that was really cool. Yeah, that was exciting. That was really exciting. I really like him. But, gosh, you're just thinking about it. No, but
I was like, do you need a moment?
Let's see, what else? I have the phone number of the drummer for String Cheese Incident. He's a friend of mine. We met through a mutual friend, and we've hung out a number of times.
Nice.
That's about all I got, really. I don't really go and try and chase and meet the bands. I have a friend, friends who are like, I just met the guitar player. I'm like, that's nice. Was he a nice guy? Cool. I'll go see him at a show later.
Right. Yeah, you're like, all I need from him is his musical abilities.
Right. Whenever I actually talk to somebody that's like pseudo or semi-famous, I always get like really nervous and choke up, and I'm like, thank you, I really like you. Okay, goodbye. I just embarrass myself in front of them. I met one of the Allman Brothers' sons at a concert in Carbondale, actually, and I was very drunk and got really cocky for no reason. And it was like, yeah, I'm an Allman Brother. I just played a concert you paid money for. And I'm like, well, I'm a guy that goes to college, so fuck you. Stole all my cigarettes, but yeah, no, that was the opposite side of the pendulum. Although I don't know if he's famous or not. He's got a famous last name, but yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, I got really just kind of douchey with that one. So I don't know. It's just all in all, it should just be avoided. If they want to meet me, they can shoot me an email first, but I don't think that'll happen.
All right. Okay. So my last question that I actually had in here was, which we touched on a little bit. So do you think, because again, I don't believe that. I believe Gen Z is just the latest punching bag that old people love to punch on the young people coming up.
Yeah.
With taking no responsibility for the system that we've provided for them. It's like, these kids don't have anything, and it's like, yeah, they don't have any hope because there's not a lot going around right now. I'm almost at the end of my hope rope. Look at that rhymed.
Hope rope, we got none.
But do you think, because you do interact with them so much, do you think this kind of style of concert and following bands and stuff like that, do you think it is going to start, do you think it's like kind of a relic of the past, or do you think it'll just keep going in a new kind of iteration? And I don't have an opinion on it.
A concert industry in general, like, I feel like it's starting to hit some sort of, I don't know. I feel like a bubble's about to burst because concerts are really freaking expensive. Festivals are really freaking expensive. I saw some woman on Facebook trying to sell, $350 tickets to some country concerts. These are just normal seats. It was like Zach Bryan or something. I don't know. I don't know nothing about country. But like, we're at a point where Ticketmaster is getting sued for monopolies and for overcharging and all that.
Yeah.
People are starting to be really overcritical of the amount of like emissions that get put out as a result of a concert. You got
Oh
20
yeah.
trucks going across the country, to move set
Yeah.
pieces from one place to another. The production value is just absolutely insane now. Um, like
Yeah.
it's all kind of getting to like, it's a business. And a lot of concerts, they run a formula. And I feel like it's going to hit a peak at some point and it's going to kind of fizzle out.
It,
Or it'll evolve in some way that I don't see. Um,
yeah. I think,
cause like
yeah.
it's getting to a point where it's too expensive. And also I feel
Hmm.
like, giant concerts take away from local concerts too, from the people
Yeah.
who actually really need you to go and see them. Maybe just once instead of seeing the same band for the 80th time. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think jam bands as a whole will eventually peter out, or they'll evolve into something that I can't see as well. I think that the EDM scene, which is absolutely huge right now, has slowly been
Hmm.
taking over parts of the jam band scene, because also a lot of the festivals are canceling and running out of money. Um,
Yeah.
you know, and we'll come
That's,
after EDM. I don't know.
yeah. Cause there's a few things that you said there that came to my mind is, like, I don't know how this plays into it or not, but it's like jam bands. What I think of when I think of jam bands and like the songs and stuff, like
Hmm.
people's attention spans don't go past 5 seconds. So, like, the era of just sitting and listening to like kind of the same song and the
Hmm.
same and like
Well,
just getting
you get
into it
these
for
20-minute jams. They evolve. They go to different places. It's not just listening to the same groove
yeah,
for 20, 30 minutes. Which I think kind of also goes with like EDM, because it's like it's one
that's
continual
true.
mix. It's not like you play one track and the DJ stops and then they load up the next track. It's just one continual,
That's true. Yeah.
beats pumping you through the night. And,
That's
some of
true.
those clips last for 5 minutes, but I think instead of like trying to focus on something, it is the act of losing focus and just getting lost in what's happening. Um, and just kind of finding that groove instead of like, focusing on what song is being played. Okay, my attention span has run out for this song. I'm ready for another. Um,
Yeah.
and just kind of, being in the moment of, just kind of losing yourself to it all. Um,
Yeah.
I think that's what the appeal is. And I think that's why it might be more appealing to this younger
Yeah.
generation that is coming up,
Which
who
is,
doesn't
yeah, I
have an
guess,
attention span and who
yeah,
needs lots of flashing lights and, in front of them at all times.
that's true.
Hmm.
Yeah. And that's what, like, when you were talking about the festivals and stuff getting so expensive and kind of going out, that's what this year. So I teach some event planning classes and stuff like that. So every spring, of course, out here, we talk about Coachella.
Hmm.
And this and that. And that's what it was. Usually I've got several students going or working at it or volunteering or in some capacity. And it just kind of came and went this year with, like, I even brought
Just
it
a
up at
whimper.
one point. Yeah, I was just like, you guys aren't talking about Coachella, is nobody? And they're just
Hmm.
like, yeah, we're over that. Like, nobody's. And that's exactly what they were saying is
Hmm.
it's so expensive and they focus so much on the influencer culture there that it's like it's so great and so wonderful for influencers and for people like that because they get VIP treatment, but everybody else
Yeah.
pays like $1,000 for just dirt.
Hmm.
And they kind of have gotten tired of it. And then the bands, like, because I think like a headliner was like No Doubt came
Yeah.
back together. And I asked them, I was like, were you guys even alive when No Doubt was actually a band? And they're just like, no. Like Gwen Stefani was gone by the time. And I was like, what were they even thinking? Like when you think target audience here, it's just like, like our age is not going to pay that amount of money to go sit in dirt and watch No Doubt. Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to go watch it one time in an air-conditioned building if that's what I'm going to do. Like,
I'll catch a clip on YouTube, 5 minutes.
Exactly. I'll get nostalgic for a second and then I'll move on. Yeah. Okay. So who knows? So that is what we've landed on with that is we don't know.
Yes.
But I think there's going to be a change. I think you're right. I think it's, I think really Taylor Swift, whatever, she brought in a lot of money for the places that she went to, things like that. But I think it could be that she got us closer to that bubble bursting because that was a little extreme. And now Swifties are going to other countries and like taking their tickets away from them. And it's a whole big thing. So
yeah,
who knows? That's like a whole nother episode to talk about.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. My wife's a Swiftie, so I'm up to date in everything that happens.
Oh, you're in on
whether
it.
I want to be or not.
All right. Yeah, switch out. You two, let's go to next episode, Taylor Swift. Okay, well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time here, but we do, at the end, I like to ask all my guests if you have any tips for tourists to just kind of not be any listeners, to kind of not be jerks. And now we've talked about it from a jam band perspective from all of this, but you've teased a little bit of all the places that you've worked in, hotels and all kinds of hospitality jobs. So like, here's your platform, Brent. You want to say something to these folks? Just say, stop doing this or start doing this.
Tell you what I will do is I will say to start doing this. And this is as somebody who used to work as a front desk agent at hotels. And this is something that used to happen and no longer does. And that is tipping your front desk agent. And I think that we need to change the term from tip to bribe. Bribe your front desk agents.
Just be right up there with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Be very blatant. Hand them a 20. Say, I would like an upgrade, please. That is the easiest way to get an upgrade in a hotel room. Just a straight up bribe. Yes. Okay. People always talk about how they go to Vegas, slip the front desk clerk, oh, hey, I got upgraded to a suite. I gave him a 50. Yeah. That works at any hotel. Except for like a Red Roof Inn, because they wouldn't understand what's happening and they don't have suites.
they're like upgrades are not available.
Yeah, you're lucky you got a bed. But no, that's something I always try and advocate with random strangers that I meet on the street. I go to them and I tell them, if you give the hotel clerk a 20, they'll upgrade your room. And they'll be like, why are you talking? This is weird. But no, that I'm trying to spread the gospel. Yes, it is okay to bribe your front desk clerk for a better room. And you should.
Okay. And just straight up, come out with it and do it. Yeah. All right. Any other things that just drive you nuts?
What's that?
I was going to say, I was just thinking of, I saw on social media that you were like a bartender at the baseball fields.
Yeah, I work for Rockies. I work today.
You work today. Okay. So anything with that, like just have
Here's
fun,
one pet peeve of my job that has very little to do with tourism outside of Denver. But, I work at Coors Field, and where we obviously serve Coors beer. There is Coors Banquet and there is Coors Light. If you ask for a Coors, I'm giving you a Coors Banquet. If you ask for Coors Light, I will give you a Coors Light. Just because more people drink Coors Light does not mean that if you ask for a Coors, I'm giving you a Coors Light. The light is the deviation from the original. The original gets the name of the Coors.
And you're in Denver, damn it. You should know that.
I might have gotten into a big fight with somebody about it last night. Maybe.
Oh, really?
I definitely did. But
It's fresh on your mind.
Yes, it is. But yeah, if you're ordering a Coors, you're getting the Coors Banquet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can see a lot of the stuff in a lot of, especially kind of post-pandemic, that people have brought up here is it's people in general, but just for this podcast, we like to say tourists, but have kind of forgotten that they are kind of part of a society. And so, like, if you're at a baseball game, if you're at a concert, if you're at something, it's not your concert, it's not your baseball game.
Yes, you are so right on that.
Yeah.
When I started, I worked at my hotel, and then I got furloughed, and then I came back about a year and a half later. And then people, you know, they were slowly starting to travel again as I came back to the hotel, and like so. That was one thing that I really immediately noticed. And I think that the reason for that is because people spent so much of the pandemic sacrificing things for others. They sacrificed, you know, their jobs, their travel, their plans, their entertainment. They sacrificed so much during the pandemic that when the pandemic was over, they were like, okay, I did and I gave all this. Now I'm going to get mine. And I think that is a perspective that has prevailed over the last few years since then. But I think that mindset is something that I really noticed right off the bat when I came back into hospitality, was that people were just not as, or they felt more entitled. And I think that was one of the causes of it, is like, I've put in my work, I put in my year of solitude. Now it's time for me to get mine, you know?
Yeah.
That's my hypothesis on it.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see it. And that word that you use, entitled, that has been over and over and over. Like, the guests will say it.
Theme?
Yeah, the guests will say it. And then the clips, even just this morning, I was reading a comment on a clip from another episode, and they said they even used that word. Of like, yes, I'm a manager at a hotel, and the entitlement of the tourists, and it's just like, I don't know. I don't know if it has to be a bubble bursting again. I don't know how to pull us back from that one, but hopefully, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything too much. We don't want to go. I don't know. We don't want to go back to other things. Okay, Brent, thank you so much again for giving us, kind of pulling back the curtain, giving us an inside look of what it's like to travel around, listen to your favorite bands, live that lifestyle. Is there anything do you want anyone to follow you on anything, or you would rather them not follow you? The man of mystery.
I don't need my students to be finding me.
That's true. My students are over.
It's a secret, yeah.
Exactly. My students are adults, and I still don't necessarily like them finding me. So
absolutely.
I get that. Okay, so for all the listeners at home, for all things tourism, go ahead and subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, or follow us on social media at You're a Tourist. And remember, you're a tourist, and it's okay. The first step to getting better is admitting it. Okay, that's it. That's a wrap.
Are we out? All right.
We are out. Let me